Las Vegas is one of the most popular tourist destinations in the world, but many first-timers make the same mistakes when they visit here. So today, to help you out, I'm going to be sharing 15 common tourist mistakes to avoid in Las Vegas. Make sure to tell me down below in the comments if any of these have ever affected you. I'm curious. Here we go. So there's some common mistakes that you have to be aware of when you get to your room. And now I'm going to bring in our guest, Jaycation, local YouTuber here. And most rooms don't have a mini fridge, or if they do have a mini fridge, what happens?
Well, I was staying at Caesar's Palace a couple of weeks ago and they did have a mini fridge, but when I pulled it open, it's all weighted and censored. They don't give you any room for personal items, and if you take stuff out, they're gonna automatically charge you. So what you need to do is pick up a little foam cooler right here.
Yeah, exactly. You can just put your drinks in here. Next trick is the Wi-Fi, and I admit we're at Park MGM right now. It's been a little slow, but your hack here is bringing your own Ethernet cable, right?
Yeah, sometimes Wi-Fi can be a little spotty, so you want to have a hard wire, and if you're doing work or your kid's in school, you want to have an Ethernet cable that you can put into the wall. It'll make your internet a lot more stable.
And finally, you want to watch some YouTube, HDMI cable for the TV. I didn't even think of this. This is good.
Yeah, bring an HDMI cable, just pop it in your luggage. You can throw it back here. There might not be any time to watch TV, but let's say you're watching your favorite Netflix show, or you want to watch Here Be Barr's new video, pop this onto your laptop, you're good to go. Not visiting downtown Vegas. I was guilty of this cardinal sin even my first trip here. Downtown is classic Las Vegas. It's vintage. You'll see where the original casinos were in this town. I get it, all the Instagram stories and feeds, everything you see on television and on movies, it's always the Strip, it's always like the newest restaurants and things to do and the pool party. But in 2 hours, you can explore just about all of the Fremont Street area. A lot of cool dive bars there, Circa, the newest casino as well is there and worthy of checking out. And just going inside the old school casinos, it feels like you're stepping back in time. So don't make the mistake of sleeping on downtown Vegas, and do make sure to check out the video that we shot about what to do in downtown Vegas. Putting a card to it above. I've seen few destinations around the world where there is such a price difference between staying here on a weeknight versus a weekend. Heck, we intentionally booked this trip Sunday to Friday just to save a lot of money. And if you look right here, as I pull up the hotel prices, compare a weeknight to a weekend. The minimum price is about 20 bucks a night during the week and about $100 a night on the weekends. And guess what? It's actually a lot chiller during the week in Vegas, and you'll save a lot more money on your hotel room. So if you can avoid a weekend, you'll be doing yourself a big favor to save some money. If you're planning on drinking, bring your ID with you everywhere. I mean, you'll get carded here to buy a pack of gum. So even going to restaurants, they're gonna ID you all the time, no matter how old you look. I never get carded back in New York, but in Vegas, every single time, they've asked me for my ID, so don't forget it if you're going out drinking. For the next 2 common tourist mistakes, I'm bringing in a special guest, Norma Helly, a local Vegas YouTuber. Norma, you've got a lot of wisdom. Take it away.
All right, women wearing heels. I have been here, again, for 17 years. Do not wear your heels up. Just be like me, wear your flip-flops, wear your Chucks. Even if you look a little nerdy, I mean, wear your Skechers for all I care, but do not wear your heels, because just from one hotel to the next, it's a really long walk. From even walking inside your own hotel, from one side of the casino to the next, it's a really long walk. And I know you guys want to wear your heels, you want to look cute, go to the restaurant, go to the club. If you're gonna go to a restaurant, okay, it's fine, but just from your room to a restaurant and back, nothing more than that. If you are gonna go to the club, wear some either chunky heels, something that, you know, it's a comfortable heel, or honestly just wear flats. Flats is totally fine at the club, but if you can, please don't wear heels. Not exploring the Vegas cheap scene for food. There's a lot of cheap food around here. You just have to be able to look. I know everything pops saying Gordon Ramsay, Tom Colicchio, Giada, and yes, they are great food, but if you can, look for cheap eats. But for that, you just really have to do your research, and when you're walking around is when you're gonna find it the most. Like, you'll be walking around Planet Hollywood and it's gonna talk about a cheap breakfast, cheap alcohol, but you have to be looking around, you have to be paying attention.
And if you want some specific spots to eat cheap in Vegas, we did a great collab video series, 6 different spots. Check the link in the description. Norma, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, John.
Trying to catch a taxi or an Uber on the street. Now, you can't walk over here on the side and hail a cab or have an Uber pick you up there. Anytime you take a taxi or an Uber in Vegas, it has to be from a designated spot. Usually, it's in front of the casino doors. Sometimes Ubers will drop you off in the different parking garages. There's been a recent change in the last few years where taxis have set rates from the airport. So if you come on a weekend and prices are surging, you may have a lot of trouble getting an Uber or a Lyft, period. And even if you can get one, the price will be way more expensive than taking a taxi, which right now has set rates from $19 to $27, depending where you are on the strip. So the days of those long hauls with taxis ripping you off are over. Not taking advantage of a lot of the free attractions in Las Vegas. This is the Bellagio Conservatory. This is a must visit. You could see the volcano show at Mirage. Heck, just walking through many of the casinos is a great way to spend time. Don't always feel like you've got to spend money on every little thing in Las Vegas, because there's a lot of cool things to do that won't cost you anything. You really have to see if it makes sense to rent a car if you're gonna be staying on the strip. I mean, you're gonna be paying in most cases to park the car, and then every time you move to different casino parking lots, you might get 1 hour free, but if you're gonna be spending more time there than that, those parking costs are gonna start to add up and add up. It makes more sense in many cases just to Uber, taxi, or walk between properties and not worry about renting a car on your trip to Vegas. Paying excessive Wi-Fi costs.
Hey, buddy.
We have Jaycation here. He's actually gonna be taking over the next 2.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me, members of the barrio. I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the sneaky Wi-Fi fees at some of the places here in Las Vegas. Now, over at Caesars Resorts, you can only have 2 devices linked to your room per day for free. After that, you put in your room number and your last name, like let's say your dad, your brother, your sister, and they're more than 2 devices, you get charged $14.99 per day. They do have a small teeny disclaimer in the writing, but you don't really always see it. And I was a victim of it over at Paris just the other week, where my brother and my dad connected to their phones for 3 days, and I was charged 75 bucks. Luckily, I was able to complain about it and they refunded me, but that's something I'd want you guys to avoid when here in Vegas. So watch out for those sneaky Wi-Fi fees. Reservations at restaurants. Make sure you make these reservations way ahead in advance. Once you book your trip, places like Gordon Ramsay Hell's Kitchen, sometimes it's 2 months in advance that you have to get this reservation. I looked back in March and I wasn't even able to get something until mid-April. So make sure you're doing these reservations. Places like Bacchanal Buffet here at Caesars, it might even be 3 months to get a reservation there. So make sure you're doing it as fast as possible and just know what days you want to go. I pick up a player's card at every place I go. This is a Caesars card and an M Life Rewards card for all the MGM properties. Now, as you gamble, you gain different tiers and you can get different perks like free parking, lower room rates, free food, free buffets. It's a really great perk to have, especially if you're coming back to Vegas at least once a month like I am right now.
It's really easy to underestimate the distance of the Las Vegas Strip. It's 4.2 miles. I mean, walking from Mandalay Bay all the way to Circus could take an hour and a half to 2 hours. If you just want to see the entire strip, it's actually a lot easier to get a pass on the Deuce, Uber, taxi. Walking the entire length, that is gonna wear you out so quickly. So knowing that the strip is that big is gonna help you out. And my best advice always is try to get a casino room mid-strip somewhere. That way you're never gonna be too far away from anything. Not drinking enough water. It's the desert. It's almost 100 degrees today, and if you're not used to dry heat, you're really not gonna feel too sweaty, but it is so easy to get dehydrated. You've gotta constantly drink water when you're here, especially if you're going out partying, pool parties, clubbing at night. You're gonna get dehydrated fast. This actually happened to me on my first trip to Vegas. You'll be walking somewhere on the strip and somebody in a suit who looks really official, they'll approach you and say, hey, do you have admission tickets to the best clubs in town? And they'll give you different admission cards to some of the nightclubs. And then at the end, they're gonna ask you for a tip. Now here's the thing. You can go to any of the concierge desks at the casinos that have nightclubs and they'll put you on the same guest list, or they'll put you in touch with somebody to get bottle service without having to go through a random person on the street. There's an exception to this. Sometimes you'll find people who work at clubs giving out admission, but they'll be wearing a shirt that says they work at the club, and they'll never ask you for a tip. So just be aware of that. So this is the best tip of the video, and this guy's really classy. He wanted to get this, but it's $55. We're gonna get the smaller one, $25.
Do you know what movie this is from?
I do.
Fragile.
Tell us in the comments what movie that's from if you know.
When picking up a yardstick, whether it be Cabo Wabo Cantina or Fat Tuesdays or Diablo's or any other yardstick spot around the strip, you can actually use a different company's yardstick and you will get the refill price, which is about 30 to 50% cheaper than just buying the cup with a new drink. So make sure you're either keeping the Cabo Wabo yardstick and bringing them back, or just keeping it for the rest of the trip.
I want to try this now, though. We gotta see it. Let's see how this is. Doesn't taste like alcohol at all. That's trouble.
Oh man, it's like a 7-Eleven Slurpee,
Exactly.
dude.
Exactly. Woo! Tell me down below in the comments if any of these mistakes have ever affected you, and check out our other Vegas videos, link right here. Guys, thank you so much for watching. As always, till next time.